Let's start the show.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone, depending on where you are tuning in from around the world. Welcome to another episode of the Happy Hour Show with myself, Lindsey Vertner, and you tuned in from home. We have a very special guest tonight who I am going to introduce in just uno momento, por favor. But before we do that, I need to do a little bit of housekeeping about how things work here on the Happy Hour Show, okay? So if you are new to the show and you are tuned in right now all the way live, I need for you to comment all the way live. Hey, we love it when you tune in live because that gives you the opportunity to engage in real time with myself and our lovely guest for tonight's episode. But if you're catching the replay later on, it's okay. We still love you. Comment replay all day whenever you decide to tune in. Either way, make sure you comment, love, share this video out. Because here's the thing about the Happy Hour Show. This is your personal development show. We are always dropping gems about things that help you personally, emotionally, mentally, professionally, spiritually, financially, all the leads that you can be helped. The Happy Hour Show is always dropping gems just for you. So make sure that you grab a pen and pad, take you some notes, do the replays, but comment, love, and share this video out because if you think the stuff is good and juicy, somebody on your timeline is also going to think it's good and juicy. So we have to spread the love, share the wealth, share the knowledge because sharing is caring, okay? So make sure you comment right now where you are tuning in from. We have Alice that is all the way live. Hey, Alice, thanks for tuning in. And listen, here's something else that you want to make sure you do. Make sure that you go to bit.ly/happy update so that you can stay tuned on all things happy hour. So you can stay updated on future episodes. Sometimes our guests like to give some VIP happy hour specials, but only if you're on the VIP list. So again, make sure you sign up for updates at bit.ly/happy updates. Okay. So that's all about the show. I hope you have grabbed your drink and you're ready to join the chat. And if you're looking at your screen or listening to your audio and you're thinking, who is this crazy lady that is talking to me right now? Well, my name is Lindsey Vertner, and I'm an award-winning peak potential strategist and transformational speaker. What does that mean? That means mindset is my whole entire jam, okay? In 2007, I fully recovered from a wreck that left me brain dead and paralyzed. And because of that, I began walking in my purpose where I help high-achieving women who struggle with things like perfectionism, overthinking, doubt, and yada, yada, yada. I help you to master your mindset so that you can increase things like your confidence, your clarity, your connections, your cash flow, okay? That is what I do. It's my purpose. It's my jam. And I'm super excited to introduce to you tonight's guest who has been through some things herself, okay? And she is here to give all the tea and talk with us about it. Her name is Averri Simone Liggins. And she's a brand strategist and digital content creator. She has assisted nonprofits, small businesses, and personal brands with their brand strategy. Among her most notable positions, she's worked for Governor Nathan Deal and the Georgia Technology Authority, where she's assisted in the procurement process of contracts worth over $60 million. Hey, ching ching, dollar dollar, okay? Seeing the limited opportunities for Black women in entrepreneurship, Avery created Black Women Moguls. Through this platform, she teaches women entrepreneurs how to build profitable brands. She's formerly served as the youngest first vice president of a local section of the National Council of Negro Women, and she was awarded the NCNW Living the Legacy Award and recognized as Who's Who in Black Atlanta and many, many other accolades. So without further ado, let's welcome our happy hour guest for tonight, Miss Averri Simone Liggins. Hello.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. And it was the energy for me.
Yes, it's always the energy on the happy hour show, okay? We are glad to have you here. And I know that I just quickly kind of ran through just a little snippet of your resume. But before we get into how you phenomenally are serving the world today, let's talk about you, the person, Miss Averri Simone. Who are you really? Like, peel back the curtains and give us the juicy tea. Who is Averri?
It's always interesting when I get this question because you never know quite what to say. So what I want to be as a living legacy is known as a risk taker, despite the challenges that I've gone through as far as autoimmune and some other things. And I'm sure we'll get into that conversation later. I want to be known as the person, as a woman who just continued to go through life, persevering, persisting, and being consistent in who she was as a woman and what I give back to the community. So when you read my bio, I was like, oh, she made it sound so good. Is that really me? So thank you so much for that warm introduction. And I like to say that ever since the age of 3, I was an entrepreneur because I helped my mom, which I saw her give a comment earlier. So, hey, mom. We were in California and we put on I put on a bracelet on my wrist and I said, see. So I like to claim that I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 3. And then, Girl Scout cookies, who didn't do that. So
Listen. There is something about us where it just seems to be in our blood. Well, those of us that are successful in our businesses, it seems to be in our blood from quite a young age. Because I can remember some shenanigans I had as a child where I was selling candy at daycare, selling tattoos where I literally had a sheet of paper and I drew little pictures that I could draw and I had prices by them. And then I took my Crayola markers and I was like, all right, you want the smiley face tattoo? 25 cents, please. And I drew it on their arm or wherever.
I'm here for it. I sold bath salts. I made it in probably a little pan, and then I would sell it to my mom's friends. So yes, I was here. I didn't think about the tattoo. Looking back, I should have known about that.
Yes, that was my version of that. And I had so many other shenanigans. So I can only imagine all of the things that you did from a young age. And speaking of which, so tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Yes, definitely. So I love being able to answer this question because I always, like every single interview, I cannot help but give a shout out to my mom because without her, I would not be in the place where I am today. Because looking at her, she was the one who made me want to be an entrepreneur. She had her own business. So growing up looking at her, even when she was in the workforce, just calling her own shots. If she did not want to work a day, she was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to, stay home. Or if she did not want to work that job anymore, she decided to pursue other ventures. And what I wanted most was that same flexibility, that same freedom, and to be in charge of my life. And I just it never sat well with me that I have to ask permission to go on vacation, even though I'm still in my job. If they're looking, I'm sorry. But anyway, never sat well that I have to ask permission to go on vacation or do little things. Is my time, which I'm so excited to be transitioning soon, so I can have that same flexibility that I had. So that I saw my mom growing up.
Our mothers, the role models, right?
It's so true.
Yes. Shout out to all the moms that are tuned in today. If you are a mom, let us know in the comments. Put hashtag mom love, okay? Because listen, I swear mamas are number one fans, right? So, what would you say is apart from watching her run her business and be able to call her own shots? What would you say is one of the biggest lessons that you learned from your mother?
Ooh, goodness, so many. I guess the number one would be not to be so hard on myself because even now I struggle with that. I and then even okay, so let me go into this autoimmune disease, and that is like the biggest struggle that I'm experiencing right now. At the age of 26, I'm 30 now. I was diagnosed with autoimmune disease, and in the beginning, I was feeling just I didn't even want to share my own story because I was like, they're gonna look at me like, oh, why is she going through pain walking up the stairs and having a hard time getting up from her chair, and I didn't want to be viewed as that person or that I was contagious. And I let negative thoughts seep into my mind, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can just this shit was so hard. And she was the one throughout my life and throughout my challenges who has encouraged me to, you can do this. You are not your disease, in other words, and you can persist. And now that I'm taking a more holistic approach with my autoimmune disease, I've recently been off medicine for about maybe 3 or 4 months, and I'm experiencing some of those same symptoms in the beginning, but I'm doing it holistically, and we're gonna try to stick to it. It's hard, but I can see a difference between my mindset then and my mindset now. And one of the biggest factors of that has been, okay, sometimes you might not have a good day. Sometimes you might need to take that rest. It's okay to take that rest. It does not make you lazy like I thought in the beginning. Your body just needs to recuperate. And then the next day, or maybe 2 or 3 days, you'll come back and you'll start again. And that also actually goes into my purpose and it wasn't until finding my purpose that I discovered again that I was not lazy or a failure.
Yeah. Not being hard on yourself. I see a lot of women that struggle with that and just allowing ourselves grace
Mhm.
to make mistakes, grace to start over, grace to practice self care and prioritize our mental and emotional health. And I think um, in the news nowadays, it seems to be a little bit more of a focus, the mental health, Naomi Osaka, Simone
Mhm.
Biles, a lot of people getting a flack for putting their mental health first. And they're on these big stages. And then,
Mhm.
the criticism of, no, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And it's like, if you actually looked at all the people that are doing this, like depression is real, anxiety is real, and it's all because we aren't putting our mental health first. And so you had some people that were applauding them and then other people that were criticizing them. And I think that it was just great. There's a third one that did that as well, right? That was a black
Mhm.
female athlete. Who was the third one? Do you remember?
I can't I
Naomi,
I can't quite
Simone.
remember her name at the top of my head, but I'm glad it's coming to the forefront because I can't imagine having that level of pressure on me, and even with my own personal battles, I mean, I'm glad that I'm in the place that I am. Some people are not as fortunate as I am, and it gets to me, you know? So I can't imagine having to
Mhm.
perform on an international stage with all of those pressures, and then you have to deal with your personal battles. So I'm so proud of them for them to bring it to the forefront and to be the trailblazers. Well, to continue the trailblazers because there have been many as well, but to just continue this movement and bring it to the forefront.
Yes, yes. If you are just tuning in, you are watching the Happy Hour Show with myself, Lindsey Vertner, and our very beautiful guest, Miss Averri Simone Liggins. And right now, we are just talking about prioritizing yourself, your mental health, your emotional health. And here's the thing, like all of those things overflow into physical issues that we often don't recognize the link between this and this and this and this and all the things that we're dealing with, the constant migraines or the fluctuating weight or the inability to sleep. All of those things are a result of not practicing self-care, not putting yourself first. Whenever you're constantly hard on yourself, you usually are doing all the things. And because you're so hard on yourself, it's never really perfect. So you keep trying to do all the things, trying to make it perfect, and you're wearing yourself out mentally, emotionally, and that takes a toll on your body. And so self care is not selfish, folks.
It's not. And we don't have to wear the superwoman cape all the time.
Exactly. So you were diagnosed with autoimmune disease at the age of 26. And I noticed that you mentioned that you had to have a shift in your mindset. And so take us back at that moment when you found out like what you were going through. What did that journey look like for you?
Yeah. So at the beginning, I was like, why me? Of all people, what have I done? Why did this come
Yeah.
to me? And then I can't remember who exactly said it, but I like how they put it. They said, why not me?
Mm-hmm.
And when like I said earlier in the beginning, I did not share this with so many people. I hid it, and that also took a toll on my negative thoughts as well because I was hiding from the world. But as soon as I began to open up and share my story with the Black Women Moguls community and others, they were going through some of the same personal battles, and they were saying, "Oh, I'm so glad that you spoke up." And that just goes to show you never know what your message will, how it will touch others. So that's, again, going back to the why not me. It was for a purpose. I hope to be
Mm-hmm.
healed one day, but it was for a purpose. And it just shows you how resilient you are in life. And that you, like, again, you're not your disease. You are a human being. You might just have to take a break. But if, like I said, consistency, persistence, you can achieve all of the things that you wish.
I love that. Consistency and persistence, and you can achieve all of the things that you wish. So, what advice would you give to someone who maybe they have a life changing thing that is thrust up on them? What advice would you give to them as far as you being able to just navigate through what that looks like?
Yes, thank you. That's a wonderful question. So I'll tie it back to what I did myself. I had to do affirmations and then listen to positive podcasts, read positive books. I had to pour back into myself before I could pour into others, because if we feed into those thoughts, it will consume us. So we really need to start with ourselves first, and start to tell ourselves that we are worthy. And even if you don't believe it in that moment, because I didn't believe it in that moment, just keep telling yourself that until you believe it and you start to see it. And then also putting work behind that as well, even if it's just one step at a time. Say you can only do one task for your business or for your career or your life for a week. That's a big accomplishment. That's one step closer to your goal. So first start pouring into yourself, and then take even if it's baby steps, take action towards your plan.
Yes, even if it's baby steps. And I hope y'all viewers and listeners picked up on that, because progress is better than perfection, and you can't improve upon nothing. So if you're constantly trying to make it perfect, you're never putting anything out there, and you don't know how to improve it or make it better. You don't know how to adjust and pivot because you don't ever do. So you have to take action. Progress is better than perfection. And listen, I think that right now, this is a great time to take a quick little break and play a little game that I like to call
What's in your cup?
Woo, woo, woo. Yes. What's in your cup? If you are new to the show, this is the part where we find out exactly what our beautiful guest is sipping on. She's going to share what she's drinking in her cup. Then she's going to give us some cup cam. I'll share what I'm drinking. And you at home listening to the happy hour right now, put in the comments what's in your cup as well. And if you unfortunately forgot to grab your drink, I don't know what you were thinking, but it's okay. Put what you wish you were sipping on, all right? And listen, hashtag no judgment zone on the happy hour show. So whether you're sipping healthy in your cup or you got a little party in your cup, it's A-okay, all right? Don't be shy. So, Miss Averri Simone, what's in your cup?
I'll do the Vanna. There we go. So
Ooh,
I have
yeah.
a lemonade mocktail. I didn't have time to run to get a bottle, so we made our special brew of lemonade mocktail drink. So it's a little froze. Let's call it a lemonade froze. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, a lemonade froze. So
Yeah.
that's that's your mocktail because you didn't have time to run and get the bottle. But I want to know, what is the recipe for the actual lemonade froze with the party in the cup?
That's a good question. So, my mom actually made it to prepare because I had a long day, but she did lemon juice. And then, of course, you have to have your water. And then she put sugar and then some other, she had a secret ingredient. She won't tell me yet. But, but then we froze it. And then, that's what gave it that froze, that froze consistency.
Yes, yes. Okay, mom, with the secret ingredient.
Yes.
Over here, I am drinking out of my Mrs. Always Right cup.
This is
This is the cup that called to me out today because we were talking about Black women moguls. And so Mrs. Always Right, it was just calling my name. And so in my cup over here, let me take a little sip. I got some blueberry lemonade. So we were here on the lemonade wave. And then I've got a splash of strawberry rum, strawberry Malibu rum. So sticking with the fruity theme, I don't have a name for it. It's just strawberry, blueberry, lemonade, spiked. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah, I'm usually good with names, so I'll let you know.
Yes. So strawberry Malibu rum and blueberry lemonade. That's it. So it needs like a cute, fancy name. And y'all tuned in at home, put in the comments what you sipping on in your cup, okay? Because we like to swap recipes here on the Happy Hour Show. Meanwhile, let's get back into this discussion because we were just talking about, the mindset shifts that it takes, especially when you are hit with an obstacle out of the blue. You mentioned your favorite affirmations, and I am very big on affirmations because we have to speak and believe the things that we are thinking about. We have to be mindful of our words, of our thoughts, because the things that we're thinking and the things that we're speaking with our tongue, that's the reality that we create for ourselves. And so I know that you had mentioned that you were kind of negative on yourself whenever you first got diagnosed with autoimmune disease. So what were some of those things? What was some of those negative talk statements that you would tell yourself, and how did that affect your daily living?
Yes, I was really, really hard on myself. And looking back, I'm not ashamed, but I'm like, wow, I wasn't necessarily depressed, but if I had continued along that path, I could see how I could have easily slipped into depression. So I was telling myself things like, who is going to date a quote sick woman? Like, who would want to take care of me or want to deal with this with me? I said that I'm not worthy of success. Why would how can I do this? It's just very hard. So I think those were like the top two, the dating, which I've been proven wrong now, but that's another story. But yeah, it was just not a good state to be in. And then of course, like I said, that I'm not deserving of success, and that tied into my money. Not necessarily habits, but my money mindset. So no money's going to come in, and yeah, it just wasn't where I should have been, even though of course now I can share that story to help someone else.
Yes. And it's very important that you mentioned that it tied into your money mindset because we often don't realize and recognize how the things that we're thinking, even though you didn't mention anything about money in those statements you were telling yourself, it still indirectly affects how you receive money and keep money in your life. And so it's very important that we're mindful of all of those things. And I know that there are a lot of listeners that have some of those same thoughts for whatever reason in their life, that I'm not worthy of ... or who's going to love somebody ... that has 3 kids, or that's been divorced, or has a 400 credit score ... whatever is your ... so many things. And so it's very important that we flip our mindset and flip our thinking and start thinking the things that we do desire. And I love that you mentioned that you didn't believe it at first. because I think that's what keeps a lot of people back as well, because they don't believe it and so they don't do it. But here's the thing about our minds. Our minds doesn't know what's real or fake until we tell it what's real
Mhm.
or fake. And so the more that you tell yourself that thought that you desire, eventually your brain is going to believe it to be true. And it's only a matter of time before it becomes your reality. So, how did you begin to shift that mindset and allow yourself that grace? Like, I know that your mother was saying don't be so hard on yourself. So take us through, like, what were the top three tips that you
Mhm.
did to shift your mindset from those thoughts of I'm not worthy and nobody's going to date somebody with this sickness and things like that
Mhm.
to the positive side of things?
Yes. Thank goodness for positivity. Yes. So again, it started with those podcasts, those affirmations. And so when I started to believe in myself, I started to invest in myself more, go into the trainings. And again, that goes into my opening statement about being a risk taker. Even before the autoimmune disease, I was a risk taker, but I put it on hold. But when we are looking to get to point A to maybe point B or Z, we have to be willing to put in the time, put in the work to invest in ourselves. I would read books that helped me to understand, okay, so this is how, like for my business uh, personally, because I had so many failures, I needed to, yes, so many failures, but I needed to look up people where people were where I wanted to be to see how they got to that place. And that's what lifted me out of my negativity, keeping my eye on the goal, striving. And I'm not going to say that every day is perfect and I don't still have negative thoughts. We all go through that, but it's an important thing to not stay in that, because that's where the depression comes. That's where again the negative thoughts and being so hard on ourselves come. So press forward. And again, if it just is a baby step, it's not always going to be in leaps. It's okay. You just have to give yourself that grace.
Absolutely. If you are just tuning in, you are watching the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner. That's me. And our lovely guest for tonight, Miss Averri Simone Liggins. She is a brand strategist and the CEO of Black Women Moguls. Make sure you connect with her at www.blackwomenmoguls.com. You can find her on Instagram and Facebook at Black Women Moguls with an S on the end. So make sure that you reach out. So I know that you have done some wild and amazing things. Well, not wild, but I meant like wildly amazing things. Working for the governor, and then the awards that you've won, living the legacy, who's who in Black Atlanta, 40 under 40. So tell us about the start of that journey to kind of build up some of those accolades.
Yes. As we mentioned earlier, I've been an entrepreneur since a little girl. It was instilled in me. And even though I went to school to Clark Atlanta, shout out to my alma mater for political science, and then later to Georgia State for public administration and joining the government, I knew that entrepreneurship would always come back to me. So along that journey, being in the governor's office, this was when I was really trying to climb the government ladder. I'm trying to leave the government ladder now. But at that time, I was really involved. I love political science. I wanted to be a part. And it was a miracle that I got into the governor's office through by way of an internship. And it was the last year that I was eligible, because if I'd done it next year, I would have been too old. And this actually goes back to mindset, because I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know. Will they accept me? Will I be qualified enough? And they did. And then I think it was like 4 months after, well, no. So maybe three or 4 months after my internship, I started in constituent services, which is like, it's not a, well, actually, no, I did do calls. It was a call center. But one chance, I went to the chief of staff's office to fill in for somebody. And they got to back in with me the next day. They said, hey, do you want to switch with so-and-so to be in the chief of staff's office as an intern? And so I was like, yes, that's where I wanted to do something. I wanted to be in policy, but that was even better because I would see the Governor Nathan Deal every day. So Thank you so much for the opportunity. And from that, it led to a full-time position maybe before my internship ended. And I am just grateful for that experience. And then from there, I went on to the Georgia Technology Authority to where I am now. And I say this will be my last job. It's almost time to get into full-time entrepreneurship. But I've been so grateful to be able to work, have so many wonderful bosses. And even from that, I've learned how I can make some things tie into my business. I'm grateful for that
Mhm.
experience. People like to shame people for having a 9 to 5, but it's nothing wrong with that. It funded my business. It helps with my mindset and gets me to a place where I want it to be. And then you asked about awards. So it's so funny. I don't think the words you mentioned were the ones that I use. Like there's this little trick between me and the world, I guess now. So what I have, between my mom and I have her nominate me for awards. And I don't know if I was like, I don't know, maybe they will pick me, maybe they won't, but I've been fortunate to be picked by some people just by putting myself out there. So if you are
Mm.
looking at me saying, I don't know if I'm not qualified, put yourself out there. And I actually have another instance of that, if I can share that too.
Yes.
So recently, I applied for AARP, which is, of course, for seasoned individuals, senior citizens, but seasoned, I like to say seasoned individuals. And so they have this work for 50 plus incubator. And I was like, okay, I think I'll apply, but what do they want with this little 30-year-old when everyone else is older? Will they really listen to me or look at me as a child? But I was like, no, let me just go ahead and apply. You never know what happens. And I was accepted. So again, you just never know. It's just really important to put yourself out there. So that was a whole mouthful, but I think I got your point
Yes.
very much
No,
in
I
there.
was following you. I was picking up what you were putting down, and hopefully the viewers were as well, because, what's the worst that could happen? And it's our self doubt that holds us back from so many different opportunities. That exact line of thinking, whereas you took action and you did it anyway, despite, not knowing if you qualified. A lot of people, unfortunately, put the brakes on right there and they don't do anything, and then they're stuck in a cycle of constantly being in a job that they don't like, or not going after a dream that they desire for themselves. And so I love that you pointed that out, that you didn't know if you were qualified for this or for that, but you applied anyway. And even for the AARP, nowhere near 50, but but you got through. And it goes back to what you said earlier about just taking that action no matter what it is. And so I want to encourage all of the viewers to make sure you're doing just that. Identify what is your number one goal, or even any of the goals that you have on your list, and say, what is one action that I can take today, despite being scared, despite knowing if I'm qualified or not, and do it.
Exactly. You just never know who needs to hear exactly what you have to say or who needs to just follow your footsteps. You never know who you're going to encourage.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look over here. My mom also in the comments says, "Are you talking to me, daughter? Listen, if you are feeling convicted, then that is you, your own soul telling you to take action." And it's so important that we do take action. So, what would you say? Like, what advice would you give to people that are scared to take even the smallest action, apart from just do it, because we know that you got to do something? So what
Mhm.
additional advice would you give to people that are just, living in fear to go after the things that they desire?
Yes, I would say number one, get an accountability partner. If you're scared to do it, get an accountability partner who will encourage you to hold your hand for a little bit, not long. Don't hold the hand for like forever, but to hold your hand in the beginning and maybe give you some advice on how maybe you can navigate your challenge. Number two, I would say put yourself in the right rooms, and that has been very big for myself. I have done it scared so many times, and I like to give stories, as you can see. So I have another story for you.
We love
I
stories.
So it was the beginning of Black Women Moguls journey, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. And it was also the beginning of my speaking career. And I decided to go after the speaking opportunity. Little did I know that my future business coach, and then I've received other opportunities from her, would be on that same panel. And I kind of manifested working with her because I saw her on Instagram Live maybe 2 or 3 months before I applied for the speaking opportunity. So again, it goes back to number two, putting yourself in the right rooms. If I had not been in that room, I would not have met her personally. Then I would not have been invited to a mastermind where we talked about business tips and strategies. Then I would not have been invited to her summit where Stedman Graham was the speaker, was one of the keynote speakers. I would not have been invited to the VIP lunch with Stedman Graham, where we were able to have questions. And then also, it was my first pitch opportunity with at the same summit. And Lord, I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, I have never done a pitch competition. I don't know if I remember my pitch. And one of the things I did was go out and get a resource of how do you do a pitch competition. So I actually won a free month of services with her. And then I continued on with business training. So just by me taking that first step, doing it scared, putting myself in the right room, just to be able to listen to what was going on, that's what started off a slew of events. And then I forgot the last part of it. After I've evolved with my business, she was like, and it's so funny that she said she knew that I was a star. And at that time I did not see it, but she saw that in me. And now I'm on her team as a brand strategist. And so she gives client referrals to me. So that's more money. But if I had not taken that first step, where would I have been? Well, I might have been somewhere, but we don't know where I would have been.
Right, right. And I love that you mentioned that was more money because that ties back to the earlier discussion. And if you're just tuning in and you missed it, make sure you go back and watch the replay so you can catch what we're dropping right now. But, believing in yourself, understanding your self-worth, and things like that. When you tell yourself, I'm not good enough, then you show up like you're not good enough, which means that repels away opportunities for people to help you or to open doors for you that lead you to the thing that you desire. But when you tell yourself, okay, I am worthy of happiness, or I am worthy of a promotion, I am worthy of love, or I am worthy of dot, 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 I do deserve dot, 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 whatever it is for you, then you show up with a little more pep in your step. You show up with a different kind of energy, and people can see that. They can feel that. Even if they don't directly express it, they can feel that. And you attract other kinds of people into your circle, into your spaces. You have different conversations, and that leads to different roads and different paths than if you had told yourself and showed up like, oh, I don't deserve this, or I'm not qualified for this.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, all kinds of gems dropped. Okay. All kinds of gems, all kinds of gems. What tips would you give, just to those that are just in that space where they don't know if they're worthy enough? Maybe they didn't have a mom to pour into them and encourage them, or maybe they didn't have that mentor person that saw something in them or sees something in them to help pull it out of them. So, what advice would you give to that person that feels like they have nobody except themselves?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, they need to contact me because I will be there for them to lead them, help them get out of that mindset. That's what I'm all about. I wouldn't be anywhere without people helping me. Thankful for my mom, but there have been so many people who have been in my corner to help me along the way. So contact me first, and we'll talk about this. Give each other encouragement. And number two, find someone there's so many groups on Facebook, LinkedIn. Join a group and observe. There's so much encouragement that's going around. People saying, they want an accountability partner. So that goes back to what I said earlier. They're looking for other people to help them. You're not alone in your story. So join groups. call me, contact me, and then find a local organization that is maybe business minded or mindset minded. And then there are also, since we're in this more virtual world, there are events happening every day that can encourage you, and then you can network with other like-minded individuals. So that would be my advice to, if you're still feeling stuck and like you're the only one. You're not. It might seem like it, but I promise you, as soon as you share your story, as soon as you reach out to someone else, you'll find out that you're not alone, and then you can connect through those shared stories.
Yes, over here in the comments, Lisa says, wow, I came on just on time. I often feel unqualified, even with my MBA. And so it's very important that we realize we are qualified, even if we don't have the titles, even if we don't have the perceived authority. We are qualified in our own life's purpose. And every single person has a purpose. And I love that you mentioned about the virtual space, Facebook groups and things like that. Sometimes you hear people say, oh, I hate Facebook. I don't do social media. But you are limiting yourself to a world of possibilities, especially if you feel like you're stuck in a certain situation or if you feel like you don't have anybody. Sometimes we have to make ourselves uncomfortable and change our environment. And that may be, getting on meetup.com and finding a meetup group to join, or getting on Facebook and joining a group that matches your interests. There are so many people that you would swear we were best friends if you saw us at lunch, but we have never met a day in real life. We have been internet besties for who knows how long, and I love them dearly. And if I wouldn't have shown up in different online spaces, I would have never met them. And I'm sure you have stories just like that as well.
Mhm. Yes, I do actually. And then I have to give credit to this recent group that I joined, the Morning Meetup by David Shands. If you've heard of him, Sleep is for Suckers, that's his uh, Instagram handle. And I joined this group because I thought, okay, I'm quitting soon. I need to join a group where I can get education, network, and do different things. And even though I'm not quitting quite yet, it's coming soon. Coming soon. I'm claiming it. But I'm so glad that I joined because the conversations are different in this group. They're having $1 million conversations, of course, 6-figure conversations, and then even not it's we're not, and they meet you where you are, even if it's 4-figure conversations, but they get you into thinking bigger, thinking higher, and
Mhm.
trying to excel. And so I wanted to make sure, again, putting myself in the room, put myself around people where I aspire to be later. So yes, it's nothing wrong with making millions, even though I don't need as nearly as much, but I'll still claim millionaire. But
I'm gonna claim millions for you, okay?
thank you. And billions, yes, bring it my way. But putting myself in that room where I can make sure that I'm getting the level of training and value that I need. I like to think that I'm a lifetime learner. Yes, I've invested thousands of dollars into my training, which, by the way, was no easy feat. I wanted to cry. I was counting my last coins often, trying to invest in these things, but I didn't regret it. So you just have to be willing to bet on yourself at the end of the day.
Over here in the comments, Lisa says, "Girl, yes, claiming that transition from corporate to full-time entrepreneurship. Listen, if that is your goal, you have to go for it full heartedly. Know that you deserve it. Know that you are worth it. And like we said earlier, you show up differently. And guess what? All of the money, all of the things that you need are going to come to you. That's another good point. We talked about progress is better than perfection and taking those baby steps. Oftentimes we want to have the full roadmap before we take a move towards something, but you might not get the tools that you need until you take step one. And then, God drops down some tools that help you get to step two. And then on step two, he drops down some tools that help you get to step three. But because you're stuck at the starting line, you're like, I need this and I need this, but you never take a step. And so you never receive those additional tools. And so, again, just doing it afraid, making yourself uncomfortable, being willing to put yourself in different spaces of where you want to go, where you want to desire. You mentioned about the group, having 6 and 7 figure conversations. I remember whenever my goal was, I have this very specific number, that's $11,726.62. And you will see this number all throughout many of my journals. And I don't know where the number came from, but I remember how it went from being, I wanted to make that in a month, to I wanted to make that in a week, to being in different spaces, to, oh, I want to make that in a day. And now it's like, I don't want to make that in a day. I want to be able to make that in a minute or in a second. And it's opening up those different possibilities, being in those different spaces, being around other people, having those different connections, like you said, that make you think bigger than where you currently are.
Mhm.
So I know that you want to help create many Black women moguls, all for your business. Blackwomenmoguls.com, where you can check that out. Now, tell us what made you want to start that specifically, because you're going to be full time in it in just a little bit.
Thank you. Yes. Um, I like to tell the beginning of how Black Women Moguls got started. It actually started from another platform that I had, which was for both men and women, which is still in existence, but I pivoted, which is okay to pivot. And I'm glad you said that. In other words, it's a process. You might not have the full blueprint at that time. I didn't have the full blueprint at the time. And from my other platform, I noticed that 90% of my target market were women, which I guess is obvious because I'm a woman, so I do attract my target market. And I wanted to create something that was giving tangible strategies to women. That's something that I did not have in the beginning. You usually saw women's conferences and trainings full of motivation, but not actually giving you steps to improve your business, to give you that blueprint step by step. And that's why I decided to share my expertise, what I had learned from first starting off with website design and then helping brands, and what I learned in the government. I wanted to give that information back to women. And from there, it started off. It just really grew. In the first year, we put on the Mogul Code Summit, which was again tying into giving women opportunities to learn, to network, to connect. Then last year was our second Mogul Code Summit, and we gave a $500 business grant, and then also recognized the Mogulpreneur of the Year award. And so each year it's just been a stepping stone, building up on the previous year when I had no idea this was coming. So I'm so glad again that you mentioned that it's a stepping stone. You won't always know what's to come, but it's just been a blessing to be able to serve the community. And you never know again who needs exactly what you want, what you have to share. I started recently going live again more. And someone said, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you going live." I was like, "Oh, I didn't know it was missed." So again, just being able to share my voice has been just phenomenal. And knowing that these are things that women actually need in their business is just, it's always encouraging, even when I don't feel motivated or when I don't feel disciplined to walk in my purpose.
Listen, y'all have to show up and speak out, okay? Because you never know who's listening, who's paying attention, who's watching you, and they need what you're giving. But you got to show up and give it to them, even when we sometimes don't feel like it, even when we don't always know the full plan. Just speak from your heart, speak from experience, speak from your background. Like I said earlier, everyone has a purpose, and I'm so excited for Black women moguls, and I'm so excited to see what happens and how it explodes once Avery goes full time in her business. What, by the end of the year? You said by the end. Is
So
that
we,
what I
we've been
heard?
playing we've been playing with the dates just a little bit, but it's definitely going to be by my birthday. because that's another thing. It's so funny. You have to be careful what you wish for, because I've always said, oh, even as a little girl, I'm going to retire at 30. I'm going to retire at 30. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm 30. And this is what I've been speaking all my life. So we're
Mhm.
trying to make that happen. Well, we will make it
Yes.
happen. We're not trying. We are making
Ooh.
it
And look, y'all caught that live because I was just about to correct her on that
happen.
jargon and she caught herself. And that's why it's important to put yourself around like-minded individuals, because when you have moments where you maybe don't catch yourself, they will be able to catch you for you. Okay. So when's your birthday?
It's April 7th. Oh Lord, now the the pressure is really on. April
Yes.
7th.
Listen, I need for everybody to put some clapping hands, emojis, put a favorite gift, whatever. Celebrate in the comments. Miss Averri Simone Liggins going full time in her business by April 7th,
Hold me accountable.
2022. Okay. Listen, we are celebrating with you where two or more are gathered. That is her dream. That is her goal. And we're going to support her as she works to make it happen. Just like we're going to support you as you work to make your goal happen. Maybe you don't want to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you want a promotion at your job. Maybe you want, to climb the corporate ladder. Whatever that looks like for you, it don't matter. You
Mhm.
define your success and then you let us know so we can support you, okay?
Yes, definitely. And I'm glad you
So,
mentioned entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
mhm.
Um, I have a really great job and I am thankful for it, but it's just not. It was an evolution from that experience. So if you are in the 9 to 5 and you are not looking for entrepreneurship, don't let anybody shame you for that. Move up in your own lane, whatever that means for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like Cynthia says, Godspeed, young lady. Uh-huh. We're celebrating. I need for everybody that's tuned in to put a goal that you have. We gonna put a 1 year goal. Everybody drop a 1 year goal in the comment. Okay. This is gonna help you be accountable. All right. Put a 1 year goal. I gave y'all plenty of time because I really want to say 30-day. And I should push y'all and make y'all put a 30-day goal. But I'll let you choose. Put a 30-day goal and or a 1 year goal. So I have a question that I have to ask all of my happy hour guests, okay? I am all about creating your first class life. And you may be wondering, what does that mean, Lindsey? That means that we are intentional about the quality of life we're creating for ourselves. We're intentional about walking in our God given purpose to create that living legacy. We're intentional about shedding away all of the masks that we put on when we wake up in the morning. You know the ones I'm talking about: fear, shame, doubt, guilt, all of those things. And instead, showing up boldly and authentically as who we are, flaws and all. Being intentional about creating happiness in every moment that we can. So, I want to ask you, Miss Averri Simone Liggins, how do you intentionally create happiness in your life?
Thank you. Yes, I love this question because it has been a journey, let me tell you. But I create happiness and be intentional. Well, number one, thanks to my business systems, that has taken like a huge weight off, so I can have more time. For me, having a rich life is not just really about the money, but it's about having that time, that flexibility, the ability to if I want to wake up late, I can wake up late because I've been able to work from home even through the pandemic. So I say the worst thing that my job has ever done is to give me exactly what I want and work from home. That's their fault. Anyway, so being able to have that flexibility has been important for me. And making sure I prioritize what needs to be done for the day. I used to have like this laundry list of items that I had to accomplish per day, but I really didn't. And now I've narrowed it down to 3 or 4 things. And even if I don't get to those 3 or 4 things in that day, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to make it to the next day? But it will still keep me on deadlines. It'll still help me progress further. And if I don't accomplish those other three, I'm like, okay, there's Lord willing, there's another day and it will get done, or I can delegate it to my assistant. So again, just having that time, the flexibility, and making sure that like I keep my stress levels down as opposed to saying, oh, I have to do this today. I have to wring my brain until I have a headache and make sure it's done. You don't have to do that.
Yes, yes. And if you missed any of those steps, make sure you go back and watch the replay, and take down, some of those gems that have been dropped all throughout the show, and then create your own list. Think about, how do I create happiness for myself? And so I want you to share with the viewers about your masterclass that they can sign up for. Tell us more about that.
I love this topic. So, the Scale Like a Mogul Masterclass is for those who are entrepreneurs and they want to, again, it led perfectly into this, who want more time and flexibility into their schedule. One of the things that I wish I really would have known in the beginning was how to automate my business, how to eliminate manual tasks, because that's where a lot of my frustration and overwhelm was coming from. So in the Scale Like a Mogul Masterclass, I'm actually going through the 5-step strategy of how to create those business systems in your life. And even I'm able to run my business from my phone. So if I want to just pick up and go out of town, I can do that and know that
Hey.
my business will run like clockwork, that my assistant will take care of the rest that can't be automated. And then even now, like I used to be in my emails like every single day, every hour, have it coming to my phone notifications. But now I don't have to do that, which is, I'm still learning to let go, but it has been wonderful not having to worry about, okay, is this email getting responded to? Am I following up with a client? Am I going am I having a webinar every single month to generate leads? So I teach you exactly how to get that freedom and like reclaim your time, as the representative Maxine Waters said, through the Scale Like a Mogul Masterclass.
Yes, yes. I love it. I love it. If you're just tuning in, you done missed it, okay? We are at the top of the hour on the Happy Hour show. So please make sure you go back and watch the replay. Make sure you comment, love, share this video out. Make sure you sign up for the free masterclass, Scale Like a Mogul, at bit.ly/scale the biz. That's bit.ly/scale, SCALE, the THE, biz, BIZ. All right. bit.ly/scale the biz. And make sure you connect with the beautiful Averri Simone Liggins, CEO of Black Women Moguls, at blackwomenmoguls.com. You can find her on Facebook and Instagram at Black CE Moguls. And do you have any final words of wisdom or final advice that you would like to share with the viewers and listeners on today?
Yes, I would. Thank you for again having me. That's the hour went by fast. I'm like, it's all.
I know, right?
But yes, I would just like to encourage that no matter where you are in your journey, just to continue moving forward. I know it might seem hard right now, and it doesn't necessarily, it never gets easier per se, but it gets manageable. Let me say that, because even now, as I strive to a higher level, that comes to with a different set of problems. But once you look back, but don't look back for too long, because then you might procrastinate. You will see just how far you've come with those baby steps, even with those leaps that you might take every so often. So just continue to move forward, continue pouring into yourself and investing in yourself.
Yes, yes, yes. That is Averri Simone Liggins, y'all. Make sure you connect with her. Make sure you sign up again for the free Scale Like a Mogul Masterclass at bit.ly/scale the biz. Connect with her at blackwomenmoguls.com, on Instagram, Facebook, Black Women Moguls. Reach out, okay? Do what you need to do. Take that step that you need to take to get towards your goals. You don't have to take a whole leap. Just remember, baby steps, all right? Progress is better than perfection, okay? So Listen, we are here every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure that you grab a drink and join the chat, and that you are here for this personal development show that is all about helping you to grow personally, professionally, spiritually, mentally, financially, emotionally, all the ways that you can grow. Okay. So sign up for updates at bit.ly/happy updates. Again, that is bit.ly/happy updates. Yes. And we are still here through the end of September for season 3 of the Happy Hour Show every Tuesday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, with a few bonus Thursdays. So, again, make sure you sign up for VIP updates. And with that, let's take another look at tonight's sponsor, Love and Science Logistics. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is our tonight's episode sponsor, the premier car and cargo hauler serving the Southeast from Texas to Florida. Okay. So, with that, I bid you farewell. I bid you adieu, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye.